What do you get when you mix end of year exhaustion, last minute audits, and an inbox full of auto replies? You get December in the ISO world. And it's not the time to gear up, it's the time to pause and reflect. And for ISO auditors, the biggest lesson of the year rarely comes from the standard. It comes from the conversations, the contradictions, and the aha moments. And yes, the odd head scratcher here and there in the audit room too. So instead of talking about what's next, today we're going to talk about what this year taught us. Welcome to Lead the Standard. Hi, you are listening, watching Lead the Standard wherever you are. We are taking a step back from the checklist today to talk about what actually has shaped the ISO systems, audits, and the people doing the work across 2025. I'm Kelly Taylor, and I am joined by my co-host Jackie Stapleton, who somehow has maybe a little bit of energy left at the end of this year, despite all of the auditing and the writing, and maybe, I don't know, being a published Amazon best-selling author. No big deal. How are you doing, Jackie?
Good, thank you. I didn't see that there, but yeah, funny.
Yeah,
It's true,
I'm just
but
going
it's
to run.
funny, yeah.
It's Kindle and hard copy. Get yourself a copy for Christmas. Great in a stocking. Lovely and bright and festive.
It is.
All right. Well, we're not here to advertise you today, but we'll do it. I'll throw a few plugs as we go.
You'll put the link in the show notes there, I'm sure.
Oh, it's already there. Don't worry.
Okay.
Today I think we're going to be a little bit honest with ourselves, and this is not the week that anybody wants to be told start planning for 2026. I know we've just been sitting here for 20 minutes talking about anything but the podcast because this time of year really does hit a bit differently. Somehow it kind of the pace both speeds up and slows down. Everyone's urgency levels shift. Either everything is urgent or I just can't be bothered. So I think it makes the perfect moment for us to stop and ask, or sorry, to stop asking, I guess, what's next and start asking, well, what did we learn? And I know you've been quietly collecting your lessons all year and taking some notes in the background. I know you can't help yourself with that. But I've also been seeing some of these themes bubbling up through our students and definitely the Atoll team. We've been hearing a lot of, wait, no one's ever said that way before, explained it. I know I've been having that with one of our new team members. Oh, that makes so much sense. I'll fix that now. So different angles, but all pointing to the same shift. So I think today we thought we'd share a bit of a year in review. And I know, Jackie, you've pulled out 12 things that stood out to you, from everything from auditing to training, just paying attention. That one's a good one. What ISO professionals are really dealing with now. So where did the list actually start for you, Jackie?
Well, even the topic, where did that start? And you were right, because as I normally say, I'm sitting here thinking, like drumming my fingers, looking around, trying to do anything other than write a lead the standard. And I thought, I'm sure people don't want to hear from someone else telling them about, setting your goals ahead, blah, 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 blah. And I thought, well, what is it then that someone will actually want to read at this time of year and listen to? And I thought, okay, well, maybe it's a reflection more so. And that reflection can take you into the new year, obviously, lessons learned. And, I thought, oh, I'm just tired. You're already getting your inbox full of Merry Christmas, blah, delete. Merry Christmas, blah, delete. Like, it's honestly, thank you. But yeah, it's too much. There's too
It's
much
still
going on.
March. Still
Yeah,
March.
it's too much. So that's why I thought I don't know, let's make it reflective. And if you want to delete this as well, go for it. If you're tired, maybe come back next year. But I thought, yeah, this time of year, let's take a look back, because I think our last podcast we did sort of talk about what to expect in
Yeah.
2026, which we
Yeah.
normally do at this time of year to try and stay ahead of everything. But I thought, a reflection is a good place to start, because I thought, the year's winding down, audits are winding down. Even though I have one on Thursday, I just remembered on Monday. Not that I have prep for it, but I remembered that it was this week. So that's always my last one for the year. So I've got my 2026 planner open on my desk, ready to go. How many days?
I don't answer that question.
2 days. So I figured, okay, I'm ready for that.
Yeah.
So then I started looking back at, well, what lessons have we learned? And as you said, like, it doesn't always come from my audits. Probably a lot might come internally from you guys here at Atoll, as well as our amazing students as well. So it's just a reflection on that. There are 12, because I was trying to be smart. It's like the 12 days of Christmas.
I thought you had one for each month of the year. So look at that.
No. It was 12
You should
days of
start.
Christmas. So,
There you go. You've got your
yeah.
12-month planner there. January, your lesson learned for
Yeah, well,
January. But start now.
that's true. Oh, it does have challenges for the month. So I'm even more prepared for 2027. So this time next year, I'll just go through my beautiful new planner that I'm hoping that I'll use, because my husband laughs that I have a whole cupboard full of planners and notebooks that have 1 or 2 pages used.
Yep. I have the drawer. I have the drawer. All right, let's get into it, because there are a lot, and I
Yes.
feel like there's going to be a lot of stories shared and a lot of tangents taken today. So
Yep.
let's jump into this one.
Okay. So the first one, they're not in any particular order. And look, this comes up all the time. The same clauses still create the same problems. So, like, the same themes. And for me, and it might be different for others, it's context of the organization. What a horrible word, context. We sort of give me some context about what this, that's clause 4. Leadership is an interesting one. So that leadership and commitment comes in clause 5. And that's more about top management, the decision makers, taking accountability for the system. And another one I thought of is just plain old documented information. I know, and this is something I always say, like, yeah, it's in the standards, clause 7.5. They've got 3 subclauses, how we're to, create, update, control, etc. No one says it's easy. It's like, because I often message you, Kelly, and go, where is this document? Where the hell is it? I don't know. So, that whole being retrievable sometimes is a challenge. And one source of the truth, and records. Where's the evidence if we're putting our audit hat on? So I don't know if you've got any others that you've heard of come up, but if I had to pick 3, they're the 3 I'd pick in my top list.
And it's interesting because we see those, I think, reflected with our students. The general questions we get back come back on those same things, or that advice, or it comes up in the communities. I love how, again, that you've mentioned here that the interpretation is often different from different people, even within the same organization. I know we have some team members who heavily document, and others who are like, oh no, I'll just look for that when I need it later. I'll do the whole chain, which everybody does work differently, and I think we all need to be aware of that, but also that we need to share that information in such a way that other team members can also access that. And I love how you just said then, where is this document? It's always in exactly the same place it was last time you asked. But I actually had the conversation with one of our team members yesterday, that they couldn't find something. I said, if you can't find it, tell me what you're searching, because Jackie and I have our markers guides, for example, are in exactly the same place. Uh, they've been there for years. But depends on what mindset either of us are in on the day, whether we're looking for assessment workbooks or markers guides or
Yeah, the
just the
language.
search terms that we're using.
Mm,
So yeah, it's the same documents all of the time. I can see the next topic there, so I don't want to change over. But yeah, these are the ones that people either feel that they need a lot of information or none at all. So it's interesting that your audits are reflecting the conversations with our students. People are either super curious or like, that's enough,
yeah,
done.
yeah. And I'm thinking while you're explaining where are the documents, the other day my husband had lost, like a card or something that he had a phone number on it. And he said,
Oh, not his post-it note system again.
no, it was a card, like an ID number for his dad, and he needed to make a phone call. And we were looking for it, and I actually said to him, put your hat back on for the day that you had the card. Where would you put it now? And he just said, I don't know. Because normally that's the question I ask myself if I can't find anything, whether it's a document or the car keys or, something else. And
Yeah,
it's like, if I was cleaning up my desk, that's probably the problem. He cleaned his desk up. He shouldn't have.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
no.
like,
Mistake 101.
yeah, just leave it a mess. But it was, yeah, if I had this in my hand right now, where would my brain tell me to put it? And he put a whole file together with all of his dad's stuff, and it was just neatly put away in the bookcase, but he'd completely forgotten that that's what he'd done. So it goes the same with your documents and that whole retrievable thing. And you're right, different people think differently, and sometimes it's really hard. I don't know, it could go in 2 or 3 different places. It's a
It,
yeah.
yeah. Is it an improvement register or is it an ideas register or is it a corrective actions
Yeah, that's
register or
right.
is it, oh no, it's the same thing. We just have different names for it. So,
Exactly. So
yeah.
sorry, I just
Yeah.
want to show the alignment with that. So the next one, number 2, does still talk about documents, but it's more about, like, the statement says documents still get treated as the system itself. So what I meant by that is that the system being implemented does not actually just mean that you've just got all of the documents. Okay, it's not a working system yet. It's just, I don't know. Here's if I go back to the olden days when I used to be in lever arch files, it's like, here's your system, and it was a product delivered. It's not actually a system until you start following those procedures and generating the evidence. And as you sort of started going up that path before, Kelly, is not until you start using it do you find the improvements. So this is theory, essentially, that system. It's just theory until you start using it and generating the records and getting feedback from people. So yeah, don't, like, people still just think it's all about the documents, and really it's not.
Really interesting conversation similar to this with student last week actually. And little did I know this would be a fantastic analogy. She's again got all of these documents. She's inherited a pretty crappy system, but the system isn't a system. It is all of the documents, and this is what we fill out for this. There is no process. And the industry she's in, this was fantastic. And I said to her, think about your documents as all of your parts. She's in a mechanical workspace. So the documents are all of your parts. You need your system to put them together to get that truck, car, whatever it is moving. System makes starts the mechanics. And if the system's not working, well, you're not going to kickstart your engine. You're just going to backfire and it's going to sit there idle for a while until you put the parts in the right place and in the right order or get the right piece to fit into that space. So I really like this one. And again, I said it was very recent for her, light bulb moment for her, and it was, hopefully something that she kind of was able to run with after that as well.
Yeah. And I suppose this is something I've said a few times as well. A system is, it's not about the paper, it's about the people, which I probably
Yeah,
left out of that as well. It's, yes, it's the system, as you mentioned, and then actually we need to follow it to get an output. But what makes a system, this could be a good segue to number 3, what makes a system is the people. Okay, the people that are actually using it, which I will segue to number 3 because it's about leadership. And you notice that in number 1, I said one of the clauses that I thought, needed to be mentioned that, created the same problems year in, year out was leadership. But in saying that, leadership still makes or breaks conformance. So
yeah,
I see it time and time and time and time and time again that when leaders are actually engaged in the system and understand what's going on and are a part of the process and consult, get feedback, like participate in the process, then the system is actually productive and it's just it improves. It's a living, breathing thing. Okay, because the people are involved. That's why I say it's about the people, not the paper.
yeah. I like that. That's a different one from the people in the process. That's a different, nice little one there as well. I think the other thing that needs to be highlighted here, and again, not a new conversation that we're having, is that sometimes those leaders they do take that ownership and they kind of go that opposite way. And apologies, I haven't looked further down the list for today. But again, you need to be mindful of, you need to allow those other people to have that ownership and share that ownership. Just because you make or break conformance, yes, it lies with you in the end, but you can't hold on to it entirely. You need to get input and value that input from your team. I've got 5 pages worth of feedback. I asked my team a couple of their challenges specific to their role operationally. And some of them are fantastic. I can, yep, fantastic. We can fix that. We can change that. How does that impact you while still remaining compliant, making your life easier? But some of them are things that I'm like, ooh, I don't know how I can change that. I don't know if I can change that. So en as a leader, not just engaging and taking on you as sorry, engaging with the system, as you said, working with those people, but making sure that there is that shared ownership of that. I'm not gonna just go and implement that and tell them, "This is the change I've made because you said
No,
you didn't like that."
they need to be
It's gonna be,
part of it.
"Okay, I now understand your pain points.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Let me look at some solutions. Does this work or does that not? Does that improve things for you or does it make it harder?"
Well, they might have their
So
own solutions. Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of understanding those issues is the first step and then working through that.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I forgot what I was going to say now. It was probably really good, but
Insightful. Absolutely
I'm sure
insightful.
I'm sure it will come up. Oh, I just remembered. Um, because you use the word engagement a bit. So even 2 standards that I'm very familiar with. So in ISO 9000 series of standards, the one of the principles is engagement of people. So you talked about that. So those overarching 7 principles, as for 9001, but in 45001, they've got consultation and participation, which I love even more. And I know, particularly that clause 5.4 in ISO 45001 for consultation and participation, it aligns in that standard with certain areas of the OH&S management system. But why can't you just pick it up and use it, you know, in your normal business system?
Which I find interesting that it's really specific to 45,001. It does apply across the board.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I agree The one thing that I took away from that is that Jackie does love something about 45,001. I think that's the first thing I've heard. There's a
Yes.
clause she loves in there more than quality. That's my lesson for 2025.
Well, because engagement of people is still good, but it's an overarching framework. But with
Yeah,
consultation and participation, it's just embedded in what they do. But in saying that, now I'm getting into standard speak. It could be clause 4.2, the needs and expectations of interested parties.
interested.
And then your employees are part of that. And it should really include consultation and participation. What are their needs and expectations? So, I'm going to bring that up next time. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna write something down so that I don't have a Jackie moment. I've just had an
Okay.
aha myself, but
Okay.
I'm gonna let you segue on to the next one while
Okay.
I try to
I'll
find
go.
it. Yeah,
Oh, so that was 3, wasn't it? I skipped,
yeah,
went to 7. So we're
you
up to
do.
4. So number 4 is remote auditing. I said permanently change behavior. Yeah, I still agree with that because particularly because ISO 19011 is being updated. So we have the draft international standard, the DIS. And really, all of the changes were to do with embedding how remote auditing is a part of planning and preparation and conduct and closure and audit reporting. So this remote auditing is just become, you know, part of the process. It, used to be this big thing, and I know we've done a leader standard and a podcast on this in the past as well, particularly around remote auditing. But it's just become part of it. For example, this audit that I've got this week, it's 1 day, but it's a document review. So it was 2 days because it's just a surveillance audit. But any 2 days I had free in December, the client didn't have 2 days free. We're going back, and this is just not going to work. So we decided that, okay, day one we'll do in December, and I'm just going to do a document review. I've been going there for years. It's not like it's a new business, so I'm very familiar with it. Quality environment and OH&S, and then sometime in January, I can't remember, I'm then going on site. So it was just an easy solution for logistics and timing that, well, let's just split it. It's no risk because I'm familiar with the business. Possibly if it was a new business, we wouldn't have done it like that. But
Yeah. This is an interesting one because I remember, and we actually had this conversation around online training in general. The whole remote thing had such a stigma like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And everything's now changed. It is much more efficient. We're a lot more comfortable in our own space, our own environment to be able to do these things. It gives us so much more flexibility. There was a comment that you made in the article around time discipline is tighter. And I think that's kind of the challenge that people need to be mindful here. Remote auditing is, I love it. It's fantastic. But it's also so easy to go, oh, I just got to go
yes.
put my laundry on before I write this report. Or, oh, I can look at that in 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
It's
So
also
I love
though,
that you highlighted that.
you can go down a rabbit hole as well
Absolutely.
because you're not sitting in an office in a meeting room or sharing it with other people. You're here at the comfort of your own desk. And I know, particularly with this client, I've done it in the past and I go, oh, that's interesting. And then I go down here, oh, that's interesting. It's just like, no, Jackie, it's a surveillance audit. Just get what you need at this point
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the time just blew out for me. And before I
Yeah.
knew it, it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I had to be preparing for the daily debrief. And I don't think I'd even done half of it because I just wasted time going down rabbit holes. So you have
Scope
to be
creep.
very careful of that.
Yeah. It's a whole new level of scope creep. I
Mhm.
think it is as I said, such a positive, but also
Mm.
such a dangerous space to get into if you are not, as you said, they're really disciplined. And I think too, it's opened up a lot of opportunities for people who might not previously have been able to get into the auditing
Yep.
space or been
Yep.
comfortable in that. It's also definitely, we notice this a lot with our virtual training students. The first thing we do of the day one is we ask them what their experience is. And they're like, actually, I don't have any. I've never been involved in an audit. I haven't done that. And as we start talking about remote audits and document reviews, they're like, oh, well, I do this every day.
Yes.
Like
Exactly.
people are becoming more aware of their auditing skills thanks to that acceptance, I guess, of remote auditing and that
Yep.
remote workforce. So, and it's, I think, a huge shift this year, particularly in that remote virtual space in general. I
Yeah.
think it's been
In
huge.
training, definitely. And it's
Yeah.
actually not just auditing, it's consulting. Like I know a consultant that lives in Canada and her clients are in Australia. How does she do that? Entirely remotely. Entirely. So it's just how you do things these days. And I think that's sort of the message that I was trying to get across. It's just how you do things. It's an option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Um,
This next one's interesting.
what's it? What's number 5 say? It says businesses. Oh yes. Good Good idea, Jackie. Businesses are, you can tell it's December. Businesses are more educated about ISO and their systems, I should say, than they used to be. That's a good thing,
Yeah.
actually. So, years ago, they used to be so detached from it. Although, look, recently did have work with a coaching client, and the company he works for, that was what was it, number 3, leadership. Um, and number 5, that they still just didn't want anything to do with the system. They just thought someone else could, deliver it. So that's where it becomes an issue. But as auditors, as consultants, as implementers, I think it's our job to support, influence is a better word, these leaders and people within an organization to get excited about their system, because when they do get excited and see the benefits of it, then they are more educated and can see the benefits of, and I just go straight to if there's been an incident, it's just, so the old way was, there's been an incident, that must have been Kelly's fault, let's have a chat to Kelly and make sure she understands that wasn't right what she did. But in actual fact, it's not Kelly's fault. Why didn't Kelly follow something? That's where you start getting back to the root cause. And I had a client in Melbourne earlier this year, and it was just music to my ears when they actually had a OH&S incident out on the field, and their corrective action, it wasn't just, it was actually like a UPS fell off a shelf and hit one of the nurses in the head. So their corrective action wasn't, oh my goodness, we need to go out there and drill, screw this UPS on the shelf so it doesn't move. It was, yes, that was the action, but then it was, oh, can this happen elsewhere? Because they install these all over Australia. So then they had this massive maintenance drive as they were doing maintenance everywhere, added to their checklist. It's giving me goosebumps. It makes me so damn happy. Um, that, they went around, added it to their checklist that wherever the UPSs were installed, they needed to ensure that they were fitted and fixed is a better word, not just loose on the shelf. And that was unprompted. I was just sitting there and they were telling me, because this is a massive job. Their clients are, as I said, in remote locations all over Australia, but they made this concerted effort just to now, anytime someone is like, 'cause obviously the service and maintenance is annual, they highlighted the high risk areas where they were already going, and they it'll take them 12 months, but they understand that this is an issue, and they just didn't go and fix the one that fell off the shelf. They know that they need to get onto it at the others. That was just music to my ears. Like, it was almost like, oh my goodness, they finally got it. Hallelujah.
Christmas. Interesting. I'm very happy for you. But also, I'm curious whether this one ties in a little bit to the remote workforce and the remote audits and things. And now that everyone's stopped having that battle of, oh, we're working in the office, we're working away, we've got to be here, we don't have to be there. I'm wondering whether or not that shift from everybody's here and we all know the process, we just do it, to, okay, everyone's away. We need to make sure everyone is singing from the same song sheet. Then all of the drama, everything seems to have settled down a bit between all of that. And maybe, and I know it happened here recently, that everything just kind of settled down for a moment and we were able to have a look at our systems. Do you think that shift from being in, say, the corporate space to not everybody being in the same building has
Like,
increased
broaden.
their awareness?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I feel like, and again, this is just my own thoughts, and you're seeing the reality a bit more. I feel like organizations like, said, the construction space or mining, where the workforces weren't necessarily in the same space, probably had a better idea of ISO before, whereas those in the corporate office world that aren't dealing with all those might have been a bit different. Would you?
That's true. Yeah. Or possibly where it's more operational, because it depends on your activity, product, or service. So where it is more operational, it's embedded in your day to day, but possibly at a corporate higher level, which is where we're at. Yeah, it's sort of glossed over a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe not having everyone within
Mm,
arm's reach has opened their eyes to, actually, these things really did make a difference and
yeah.
they are there for a reason. Let's
Yeah.
see how we can use
Yeah.
those.
I like that. And that, again, that goes back to leadership as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, there's lots of ties back to leadership.
Yeah,
Oh,
which is the same with the next one.
which leads me, because I was going to say, like in Lead the Standard, my book, I talk about, becoming a leader in this industry, and soft skills is the magic potion. So, there's knowledge and application. Yeah, that makes us technically wise, I guess. We know our technical
Yeah.
stuff. But to be successful as a leader in this industry, yes, you need that technical knowledge and application. But what's going to make the difference to your success and the company or companies you work for and help and support to build and certify their systems are your soft skills. So your emotional intelligence, how you communicate, how you ask questions, how you, using Kelly's word, how you engage with people. Okay, how are you making them feel? So it isn't about the technical ability. Don't get me wrong, that technical knowledge is absolutely critical, but it's not all you need. And this soft skills, it goes into culture. That's my next book, by the way. There's so many segues here. This goes into the culture, leadership. I've got to stop because I could have a whole episode on this.
You could, but while you're doing it, I want to highlight, though, this is one that I think people assume that you either have or you don't have, or if you don't have it, it's really easy to get. And I think everyone has, okay, most people have some soft skills abilities. We can all improve our soft
Absolutely.
skills,
Yep.
even if you are the most fantastical person,
Woke.
Glinda the Good Witch of the West, or whatever it is, no, North, I don't know. perfect person. You've still got things to improve on. Um, and it's not easy, and you can feel like you've mastered it, and then December happens and you have a brain fog or whatever, or you're overwhelmed. And this is something that I think a lot of people um, find challenging, but not a lot of people admit that they find challenging. And this is something that I am consciously working on, and know like I believe, and look, Jackie will tell you and me otherwise, that I've certainly improved in this space, but I am nowhere near where I would like to be. And I have days that I'm like, I feel like I'm being a fantastic leader. And then I have days where I'm like, I did not do good today.
But that's the
So
point, is that awareness. And I'm pretty sure I actually talk about that element with soft skills, because unless you're aware of it, and Kelly, you've met people like this. Oh, yeah. I'm not going to go into the whole story, but on the weekend at a nursery, there was a young couple there, completely oblivious to what was going on around them, and the whole world centered around them. They did not even know I was in existence, waiting 30 minutes for them to faff around so I could get served. So it is awareness. Is, my husband said, "Oh my God, you're banging on about this," but I actually found it really interesting as an observer. So I just stood there patiently. I had nowhere else to be. And it was like, you two are really not they weren't even rude. They were just simply not aware. So that's the first step of being aware. So for you to even say that, and I do the same thing. Oh, I didn't word that, the best it could be. I could have done it this way. But unless you're aware of it and reflect, then you can't improve next time. So absolutely, you've got to be aware of how people are reacting and, I'll say, responding to you.
yeah. So I've just seen another topic coming up, and I'm holding my comment until we get to that one.
Okay. So
So
that's halfway. Halfway.
halfway. Jeepers, we are talking a lot today.
Okay. So number 7, audit conversations. Yeah, it's all related. They do go to a lower level. So when you're auditing, there's more discussion, and this goes to your soft skills. I'm sorry, because if you're just technical, let's compare it. It's a PowerPoint, bullet points. That's being technical. And then in comparison, if you're using your soft skills and your communication and your awareness of how they're responding, then that's more like a book, and it's telling a story. So, and you're making it about them, not you. That's something else. God, I need to keep writing things down now.
Well, while you're writing, a perfect example of this that I see every day is in our student workbooks around the audit interview questions and developing them. And I saw one yesterday which blew my mind. And it was about um, how I think it was related to the internal audits. Um, and the question wasn't how do you such and such go, even the way she'd written it. I'm really curious. I can see you've got some great
Mm.
policies in place about this. I'd love it if you could tell me more about how you actually implement this part of that
Yeah.
process. I'm like, all we're asking her to do is create a question for, but the way that she worded all of that, and I started in my head answering her question with this great story because I felt like she was genuinely interested.
Yeah,
It wasn't, can you tell me how you address clause 4.3? I
exactly.
don't know. But it was, yeah, fantastic. And you're right, that's those conversations.
Yeah.
And one question, I'm just really curious, can you show me how you do this? Explain to me. Um,
Instead
rather
of
than,
making it about them, because
yeah.
it was, and then that person will think, oh, someone's interested in what I do. I'm feeling great at the moment.
Oh, I've got a voice.
Yeah, yeah. So no,
Yeah.
absolutely, that's a really good example, because it
Yeah.
is very difficult to get some tangibility around this. But I've just had an idea. It's all right, separate. Okay, so number 8 is audit evidence is becoming more digital and less physical. And I talked about this earlier. It's like in the olden days, here's the system, and it was in a lever arch folder, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 lever arch folders. But of course, I don't think I ever get that anymore. Probably the most archaic is, it's just in Dropbox. Mostly there's platforms and programs that people use for their systems and the generation, I don't know, of job cards, of records and evidence. So, this audit that I'm doing remotely on Thursday, they're not emailing me any documents. They're just giving me a login to their platforms, and I just log in and I can find everything in there. If I need to, because sometimes I might like printing out something and then I can scribble on it, and that becomes sort of my checklist for the actual on-site audit. But I can access everything on their platforms and programs. So there's no physical look. There's some sort of physical identifiers, on what the jobs that they do and that they print out. But yeah, there's no longer these folders and folders of documents that you have to go through. Much easier to go Control F.
Yeah. And look, they probably have digital copies of all of those things they've got printed anyway.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, um, I think, yeah, there's one thing that I think people need to be careful of in this space, and we've already talked about ourselves, is that single source of the truth. So if
Yeah.
you do have that printed and you have the digital, make sure that they're singing from the same sheet. But digital is very easy to get multiple versions of the same thing.
Yeah.
So think of whatever you're doing in this space still as the old school filing system. Make sure you've still got your naming conventions, you've still got your filing systems, your version control, all those sorts of things. They still apply. But yeah, I love a good old find and go Control F, find.
Yeah, that's right.
Use it all the time when we're doing our on-screen. Look, don't document review. You don't need to do the whole entire document. Is there anything about this? No? Okay, what are some other words that might be relevant? But
Exactly.
yeah, I love it.
Yeah, definitely a
Nice little
lot
print paper.
easier these days, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I think it'll
Number 9.
get more challenging, and we do have a topic on this a few weeks ago about AI and how it's embedded and integrated. I don't know if we can find it and put it in the show notes, but I guess that's the next step. Like, we've had the physical evidence, we've had the digital evidence, and now as auditors and consultants and implementers in this field, we have to consider the AI component. I'm not going to go into it here because we've got a whole episode on it.
Yeah.
Number 9 is
million more.
interesting.
This is the one that I wrote down to kind of come back to that earlier topic as well around those soft skills. So I'll let you talk to that and then I'll share what I was.
Look, this one does lead, and I haven't said it yet, I'm leaving it hanging. This one does integrate, link. There's a better word. I'll think of it later. To leadership. So that was a previous one we talked about. And as Kelly said, soft skills as well. It's psychological safety. So, and we even use these words. We're talking about worker consultation. Oh, leadership culture. We've already talked about that. How people feel when raising issues are now part of our audit conversation. So this is an absolute outcome of that soft skills. Okay, they really work well together. So it is about how you deliver your message. Okay, I know I've used this example. One of my audit clients, I go there every April-ish, March, April. Wasn't last year, it was the year before. And I raised a non-conformance while I was in the workshop. And it was an OH&S issue. And when I went back upstairs to sort of let the GM know, he was like furious, and he's like, show me, and he raced down, and then he got quite angry with the workshop manager, and I was standing there, and and he wasn't angry with me, he was angry with the workshop manager that this had been missed. And that was a big reflection for me, because I thought, okay, how could I have delivered that differently? Because I was not expecting that reaction, I guess. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I thought, oh, that this is a surprise, because I thought I knew the GM and he's normally quite a quiet bloke, but he really sort of escalated this. And I thought, okay, how can I do better next time? I sort of thought, how did I deliver it? And I need to be more aware of this delivery. And I suppose that's what we're saying here. It's about, well, be aware of how people feel when you're raising issues.
So this is exactly why I wrote this down. We were talking about soft skills earlier, um, and how I'd said, look, some days I'm like, I nailed it. Other days I'm like, oh, I could have done that different, could have done that better. Maybe I should have waited 24 hours to have that conversation, whatever that looks like. The psychological safety space, that gentleman could have been all of those things that you said, 364 days of the year, and just that day he had somebody cut him off in traffic, and that stuck with him all day. So often people will give you that response that they think that you want or that you need because of other external factors, etc. And being aware of this and mindful of it, um, as an auditor, as a leader, whatever that looks like, is definitely going to improve those soft skills. And this is what I was saying before about sometimes you can feel like you have just completely kaplunked it, but when you've done everything that you possibly can, but you don't know what's happening external. And I think this is another big thing that I know I'm having a lot of conversations with people, not just within Atoll and our student community, but neighbours, the works. Um, so many people over the last couple of years have been having so many external influences on their lives that they're bringing into the workplace. And that can become a dangerous or negative situation. So we need to be mindful of that. It's still our responsibility to help that person where they can, or try to minimize the impact on them and their colleagues and their workforce and everything. But psychological safety is, yeah, definitely something that I think we're all more aware of, and it is one of those newer, bigger challenges that a lot of us are facing, as said, in leadership, as auditors, consultants, individuals. It's not a isolated thing, I don't think, anymore.
Yeah. No, it's really embedded. Yeah. So for us, say, as consultants and auditors and implementers, it's embedded in our behavior, but it's something that will show up within the organization or organizations that we work with as well. So it's embedded in everything that we are exposed to personally, and then with the businesses, we see their systems. And remember, I said it's about the people, not the paper, and this is where it comes in. Yeah.
Yeah. Just on that, it's about the people, not the paper. The people are going to, um, no, lost it. Your turn.
How is that even possible? You had the words coming out of your mouth.
Oh, look, see, you don't know what people are going through at any day of the week.
Okay, you'll come up with it. So, nearly
I
there, only 3 to
interrupted.
go. And actually, I
Oh,
skipped ahead now that I look. This one
you
is
did.
AI is already embedded in audit practice. So, remember earlier I talked about, was it digital? Oh, audit evidence. It's becoming more digital and less physical. And I mentioned, oh, the next stage is AI. So we have touched on this, and I said I'm not going to start the conversation. There's so many more conversation starters in this list, but we have got already a podcast and a newsletter on this that Kelly will put in the show notes about how AI is embedded in our audit practice these days. So I sort of did a review on, well, for me as a auditor for quality, environment, and OH&S, why do I need to know anything to do with AI or the associated standard of 42,001? So that entire episode, we sort of break that down. I think we'll cover it there. Do you agree, Kelly?
Yeah, I think so. I think if I open my mouth too much on this one, I'm going to go off on a massive tangent. I'm already thinking about things that we didn't talk about in the other episode that we should talk about now, but that will create a
No,
whole other
it's a
episode.
big topic.
This is, yeah, a huge topic. But the one thing that I just want to highlight here, and you've got the responsibility of judgment still sits with the auditor. If you as an auditor are scared of it and this company is implementing it really well,
Mhm.
then learn from it. Don't say, nope, that's a bad thing. If they've embraced it, they've embraced it. And don't let your own personal, like anything else, don't let your own personal opinions, feelings, judgment learn from it and understand it. I think that's the safest place for me to leave that comment without creating a whole extra episode on the side
Right.
here.
And it's, yeah, I suppose use it for the tool it is, but as an auditor or reviewer or implementer, it's still just a tool, and it's part of the
Absolutely.
process, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
going to stop there because we will keep going. So number 11. Oh, this is interesting. Yes, standards do change, and we are back in that cycle now. I can't believe how quickly those years go. It's ridiculous. It's like standards have been updated, and it's like, oh, we've got 7, 8, 9 years. And next thing you know, it's 7, 8, 9 years.
Look, they gave us 10 on a couple
I
here, which is
know.
good.
Yeah.
That was kind.
But yeah, it's just ridiculous how quickly that's gone. And we talked about this last week with what you need to stay aware of for next year. So it's more, this year, this is where we became aware of 3 standards that we work with, 4, 5. I'm thinking there's more.
Yeah, I'm counting like what's coming.
Yeah, because we were aware that the changes were coming. We had amendments and ones and amendments 2 that then were cancelled, and then we've had some release the DIS, the draft international standard. But we do all know that they will be published next year. So if you're working in this world, yeah, just always stay abreast of that. And then finally,
I love this one.
I do too. It's a good one to end on, isn't it? I said auditors are reshaping their own careers. And I love that term, portfolio careers. It's great for people that might be just starting out. They might have a position, a salary position within an organization, and they're wanting to sort of branch out. So instead of just diving, not having an income, you can do a little bit on the side, and that's a sort of a portfolio career. You can do multiple things. You don't need to do one thing. In the end, eventually you might niche a lot more, and this is what I find is the challenge for a lot of people I work with, that in moving their careers more, say, to consultants, is that their message or their scope is so huge because their experience is so huge. But it's hard to know how to narrow that down. And look, I don't like, while I promote, okay, we need to narrow it down a bit more, it is difficult sometimes, and I find you're better off just to start and then take what you can initially and learn what you actually do enjoy doing, where your connections are, and then you'll find it naturally niches. So it's too challenging to just go, this is it. You will get there, and I think the journey will take you there anyway. So it's not just that. I'm getting at here, it's not that traditional sort of horizontal vertical line, or the one lane highway. You've got
Yeah.
options.
Yeah, we're not leaving school and getting a job and then staying in that job until we retire these
No,
days.
no.
Yeah, I think you and I are definitely the anomalies. I don't know too many people these days that have been with the same place for 10 years, but you do shift and grow. And that's what I love about that portfolio too, is it's like a tasting platter. Oh, I'm going to try a little bit of this now. Can you tell I'm hungry? Try a little bit of
It
that.
is. Yeah.
Oh, actually, I don't have a taste
Didn't
for that,
yeah,
or those weren't my people.
didn't
Maybe I'll just
enjoy
go to a
that.
different restaurant.
Mm.
Yeah, and it as I said, when I took on this job 10.5 years ago, whatever that is now, it wasn't look, it was I came in with one expectation in mind. I was studying graphic design, and I was gonna be the content developer and that marketing and all of that, because that's what I wanna do. It's not where I am, and I love what I do. And I didn't realize that I would love what I did, but it's
Exactly.
because I had that exposure to lots of little things
Yes.
and kind of went, "Oh, yeah." And one of my favorite exercises that you and I have done and it's literally been in the last 3, 4 years, was sitting down and writing down all of the things that we do and saying, "Hate that, love that, don't
Yes.
like that." That wasn't the assignment, but that's what it ended up
It ended
being.
up being.
But it really did create, like, a completely different direction. And look, there's still things that I go, "Oh, I really don't like that," but that's absolutely part of like, without that, you don't get all the other things. So there's gonna be things that you don't love or you don't excel in, you don't, that you still find challenging. They give you a bit of a, "Oh, I'm not still not quite comfortable or confident in there." But that kind of balances out with all of the other things that you do and enjoy. So, yeah, I love the opportunities that come with this. And I think people need to be mindful of that balance between over extending yourself to try everything at the buffet, and then again being too niche. So kind of find that middle ground a little bit.
Yeah,
But yeah, there's just so many opportunities out there.
absolutely.
But
I love your buffet analogy. It made me think of
yep,
Sizzlers. And and just, I need everything.
I'm thinking of cheese toast.
Oh dear. No, that
um,
was a good one to end on, actually, because your career, it wraps all of that up. So
yeah,
hope, yeah, everyone found those helpful. You might have some other ones to add as well. So possibly you can do. I've sort of done the key takeaway a little bit differently this week, because I don't want to just go through the list of 12 again. I suppose I just wanted to prompt you to do something with it. So if you've got something in addition to those 12, well, you'll use it here. But I sort of thought what you can take away is go through this list of 12 that Kelly and I have gone through, and pick 3 lessons that showed up for you out of those 12. Or, as I said, you might have your own. What can you do about it as well? So, remember that awareness. So that's what Kelly and I talked about with your soft skills. This is the first part, being aware. Um, and then tell someone as well, share it, because normally if we share it, we're more committed to it. Um, and then reflect back on those 3 that you choose or you add, and go, well, how does that reflect back on me as an auditor, a consultant, or an implementer? And it's to do with your trust and credibility as well. So how does that impact and affect you? And then what are you going to do about it and track that? Oh, I can write that in my new
So don't be a
2026
Jackie and
planner.
get your dog.
What is it?
Fill it out.
Focus,
Every
top 3 priorities, goals and projects. I've got it all ready to go. So get yourself a
minute,
planner.
follow through.
I think 2020, well, New Year planners are like a diet after as a New Year's resolution. It lasts for about a week. But this is going to be one of my goals, is I'm going to use this one. We'll see.
New goal. I'm sure I haven't heard you say that one before.
No. You'll have to
No.
remember to ask me at the end of next year, Kelly, if
Okay.
I'm still using it, and to provide evidence.
Okay. I will audit this time next year. I will give you a personal audit.
Okay.
One-on-one. All right, let's wrap this baby up
So
today.
that's me. I'll hand it over to you, Kelly.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jackie. Yeah, look, that is a wrap. Today we have, well, I was going to say we'd stepped out of the planner, but I feel like we just completely dove into that for the next 12 months. So let's see how that plays out. And we have taken a bit of a look at the rearview mirror, and we hope that you can do the same as well. What actually shaped your audits this year, but also we've talked about our team and our business and other influences as well, because reflection isn't just for, I know, every calendar year. Without reflecting on what we've done, we can't actually grow as individuals, and I think that's really important here. Two takeaways that I took from that was, as Jackie was talking about how she's going to write everything in her planner, and then we all know she's going to put it in the drawer come February and forget about it. Top tip for anybody like me who is completely visual, I've got a whiteboard here and I've got things stuck on my wall behind me. It doesn't look pretty, but it's something to keep me accountable. So we did the traffic light exercise. I think we talked about that last week with our team. They're stuck up there to keep me accountable. So don't put any pressure on yourself, but use this as a really good time to reflect what you loved, what you hated, and use that to move forward for the rest of the year. But actually, more importantly, make the time to do that. And I think that's something that we all struggle with. We just dive in and do things, and we forget about the time to sit and reflect. So it's really easy to not do that. I think just try to make the time to think about how you can do things different, better, and learn from those lessons. So they're my takeaways for today. But Jackie, we are about to officially sign off for the year. My goodness, we will be back in the new year with hopefully some fresh episodes and topics. We are both taking a little bit of time off between now and then. So, if you haven't already, please make sure that you follow the show and turn on your notifications so you know that when we're back. I don't even know when we're back, because that's the whole point of having a break. Let's just forget about this for a while. But in the meantime, we would love to hear your thoughts too. If this episode helped you, please do share it, leave a quick review, leave your comments in there. What have you learned from this year, and what are your thoughts about the 12 we've shared today? So all of that really does help others find the show and grow and get into new places. So until next time, do please take care over the break, stay curious, and keep leading the standard. Bye for now.
Bye.